Today we're back on the Am I the A-hole subreddit and I'm so excited. This subreddit is so easy to read and so addictive, and I hope you're ready for this, guys, and I hope you had a beautiful day or are still having a beautiful day. And let's get right into it. Enjoy, guys. The first story today is called Am I the A-hole for refusing to stop kissing my own baby? My husband, male 25 and I, female 25, have a 6-week-old daughter. She's our first baby and the first grandchild in both of our families. We're advised by our pediatrician to not allow anyone besides ourselves to kiss our baby for the first 8 to 12 weeks minimum. This has been communicated to both of our families, who have been respectful of this, as well as our other boundaries and rules, despite a little bit of grumbling about it from his side. Last weekend, we were over at my in-laws' house and I just finished breastfeeding my daughter, so she was all sleepy. I kissed her forehead before settling her to nap on my chest. My mother-in-law noticed and immediately remarked on it in a super passive-aggressive manner. "Oh, I'm so glad that we're able to kiss the baby now. Did your pediatrician update the rules?" I was super confused and I asked her what she meant and that the pediatrician's recommendation hadn't changed. She then accused me of violating the rules by kissing my own baby. I told her that the recommendation was that no one besides myself and my husband kiss our daughter, and she argued and heavily implied that I was being dishonest because I'd previously said nobody can kiss the baby, rather than nobody but my husband and I can kiss the baby. She went on and on about this until I snapped that it should have been obvious that the rules were told her. So what, they're upset because you didn't quite say the right thing? That's not you being dishonest. She went on and on about this until I snapped that it should have been obvious that the rules we told her regarding our baby were about what we would and wouldn't allow other people to do. She called me a hypocrite, so I got up and shut myself in the guest room while my daughter continued to nap on me. A little while later, mother-in-law came in and quote-unquote apologized, saying that it was a knee-jerk reaction and she was just confused and upset. She said she understands now that the rule only applies to other people. She then asked me if I'd avoid kissing my baby in front of her until she's allowed to do so as well, because it's upsetting to see me doing that and knowing that she can't. I told her I can understand that it's frustrating to have a strong urge to kiss a baby and not be able to. Is it? Personally, not gonna stop kissing my own baby for the sake of her feelings. Mother-in-law's calling me disrespectful and a hypocrite, and has gotten sister-in-law on board with this as well. Am I the a-hole? Oh my god, no, of course you're not the a-hole, and I'm pretty sure you know that. The mother-in-law needs to relax. It's not that big of a deal, and to cause a bloody argument about this is so ridiculous. And also, it's your mother-in-law, so your partner should definitely be talking to him about this. But yeah, definitely not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for calling my friend's girlfriend creepy because she won't stop bringing up my race? I, 25 female, have a group of friends, all 24 to 26, 8 in total. That includes a guy, and I'll call him Nick. Nick has a girlfriend, I'll call her Josie, 24, and they've been dating 8 or 9 months. Nick introduced Josie to the group about 6 months ago. Both Josie and I are mixed race, the rest of the group is white. Ever since we met Josie, she's made really out-of-pocket comments to or about me concerning racially related stuff. Things like asking me if and why all of my friends are white, questions about my mother's African background, comments about how I do my hair, like how I shouldn't straighten it. I always try to steer the conversation away from these topics and laugh it all off, but she brings it up so often. Nick says she's only trying to find a foothold in the friend group, but I don't see why she can't try to get to know me or anyone in the group as people instead of bringing up this irrelevant thing that we have in common. I also pointed out to Nick that Josie and I may both be half African, but not the same country in Africa. It's wildly different cultures. Even if I was raised in an African culture, which I wasn't, it wouldn't be one similar to her, so it's really grasping at straws. And that's to say nothing of the fact that it makes me uncomfortable. Anyway, over the weekend we all had a boat day and we were having lunch. We were talking about school and I mentioned that one of the schools I went to had predominantly Asian students. Josie asked if there were many black students in my year and I said yes, but I didn't know them well. She then asked if the reason I wasn't friends with them is because they thought I wasn't quote-unquote black enough. I don't know if it was that comment or the countless ones before it, but I just felt so angry that she would once again take a conversation that everybody was participating in and make it into a race thing for no reason. I said, "No, Josie, that's not why we weren't friends. Frankly, the only person I've ever met who's obsessed with my racial identity is you." And just so you know, it's really creepy. Josie tried to stutter an apology, but I said the only apology I was interested in was it not being brought up again, and my boyfriend jumped in and changed the topic. Nick later took me aside and said I'd really upset Josie and she was just trying to bond with me. He said she has trauma, he didn't go into detail, about her race, and by humiliating her, I'd made her feel really uncomfortable uncomfortable. I told him that that wasn't my problem and I'm not going to be Josie's emotional support colored friend. And if he thought I should be, then I wasn't sure what that said about how he views me. Nikki's now mad at me for insinuating that he's racist, and 2 friends have taken his side. I don't think I was wrong for wanting Josie to respect me like everyone else, but evidently people think what I said was harsh. Was it? There's a comment here that says, did you ever have a conversation with her before you snapped? And I feel like that's a very good point, because you could have had a conversation before doing something like this. This one is marked as not the a-hole, and it is overwhelmingly not the a-hole. And yeah, it sounds like a lot of projection on their part as well that you don't want to be a part of. But yeah, I feel like if anything, you shouldn't have done it in front of everybody, and you should have said this privately. But that's about it, I feel like. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for telling someone I never desired a daughter and I didn't try for a girl? Weird question, but I have 4 sons. They're 14, 12, 8, and 4. The older 2 are biological, and the younger 2 were adopted after a birth complication made us infertile. I was at the park over the weekend with my younger 2 boys. I got to chatting with another couple, and I mentioned that I had 4 boys. She said something like, oh, you poor thing. I wanted a girl too, but he, pointing to her husband, didn't want to have a third. I told her that I didn't try for a girl, and if I wanted a girl, we could have put that in our adoption paperwork, but we didn't have a gender preference. I had no strong desire for a girl, and I love having sons, so she has no reason to feel sorry for me. It rubbed me the wrong way that she said poor thing, like my boys aren't good enough for me, and she said it right in front of them. Yeah, right, okay, so that's rude. They already have to feel questions about being adopted. They shouldn't have to feel bad about their gender too, you know? Anyway, the lady got upset, told me I was being rude for no reason, and walked away. I spoke to my sister-in-law about it, and she also felt I didn't handle it correctly. She has 3 girls and 1 boy, and said it's just a normal thing that people comment on. She said that people tell her that her son's going to be feminine because he only has sisters, and she shrugs it off, so I should have done the same. Am I the a-hole? No, it was definitely rude of them to say that in front of your boys. I've heard people say stuff like this before though about having boys. Like they're sort of saying that it must be hard to deal with them because they're boys or something. Like, whoa, you've got 4 boys? That must be a handful. I feel like it's that sort of energy, you know? But yeah, you don't say that in front of them. It's just an unnecessarily negative sort of thing to say. Like, why couldn't you say something positive about this, you know? The top comment says, not the a-hole, I'm one of 4 girls, and people always used to say to my dad, did you want a boy to play with? Right in front of us. They even say it to me when I mention I am one of the 4 girls. It always stung a little. Like, why wouldn't he want 4 daughters? We're great, and it still drives him mad, and he used to slam that one right down and make the person feel really stupid for saying something stupid, which made me feel better and confident. He's a proud girl dad and used to always finish by telling people how he must have been a saint in a past life to have been blessed with all girls. You did the right thing, and your boys deserve to know that they're wanted and they're not a consolation prize. Yeah, 100%. The next one says, am I the a-hole for refusing to make sure things are equal between my daughter and stepdaughter? My wife and I each brought a daughter from previous relationships into our marriage. Despite being only a year apart in age, our daughters were completely different, and that's why I'm here. My daughter's always been athletic and outgoing. Growing up, she played basketball, softball, soccer, volleyball, and even golf. In middle school, she picked up tennis and never looked back. I paid for her to have private lessons, and when she found out how much I was paying for those lessons, she decided that's what she wants to do as her teenage job. She's now a junior, is one of the best players on her high school team, and teaching tennis lessons. She teaches elementary school kids and charges $75 per hour per kid. With her skills and outgoing personality, she has a waiting list of kids and makes about $1,200 a week. She could make more, but I limit her hours so that she can concentrate on school. My stepdaughter is reserved and not very athletic. We always tried to sign her up to the same sport and team with my daughter, but she either objected or quit a couple of weeks in. I get it, sports aren't for everyone, so I never made her feel bad about it. She recently turned 16 and got a job at a burger place nearby. She's making $13 an hour and brings home less than $200 a week. My daughter recently decided that she wants to be independent by buying her clothes and electronics with her own money. Obviously, she can afford the latest styles and gadgets. She recently bought herself the top-of-the-line Mac. My stepdaughter's jealous of her sister and has been pretty vocal about it. While we were in bed last night, my wife said it was unfair one is making so much more than the other. No, it's not. I answered that there's nothing we can do about it and it's a good life lesson for the girls. My wife then suggested that we have my daughter use her money to help my stepdaughter buy the same things, or we cover the pay difference between the girls. I was laughing because I thought she was joking, but she wasn't. We whisper argued for about an hour before we went to sleep. This morning she brought it up again and said I'm refusing because I'm playing favorites, and that's an a-hole move for a parent. What? We argued until we had to leave for work? Your wife is completely wrong about this. Update, thank you for reading my post and giving me your input. I've read most of the replies during my lunch and I'll get through the rest after work. I'll answer some common questions. We tried to sign my stepdaughter up for the same sports as my daughter because we thought thought it would be a bonding experience. We also wanted to get her out of the house and meet people because she spends most of her time in her room playing World of Warcraft. We didn't make her participate, but we asked that she try things for at least a couple of weeks, and then she can quit if she wanted to. We tried to get her to sign up for things that she enjoys, but she always refuses. Before getting this job, she spent so much of her free time playing games, so I'm at a loss to think of any marketable skills she could leverage into tutoring. Yeah, like the top comment says, not the a-hole. What is fair is not always what's equal. Your daughter has skills that are in demand and her salary reflects that. Your stepdaughter is starting out on a typical student career path and her salary reflects that. Forcing your daughter to fund your stepdaughter would be the height of unfairness. Your wife needs to stop trying to turn your home into a crab pot and let her daughter figure out where her own talents lie. My brother-in-law has a doctorate with a well-paying job in his field. His wife is in high fashion and they live a dual income, no kids life. They're buying real estate in New York. My husband and I are civil servants with children to raise. According to your wife's ideas, my brother-in-law should be sending me palimony checks every month to support my children. After all, he's my husband's brother. That's not life, and she would do a disservice to her daughter with her bad ideas. Yeah, 100%, and it's so understandable that you laughed when they said this because you thought they were joking. I would have done the exact same. Like, what do you mean? Punish your daughter because she's doing well? No, okay? And also, imagine if you did have a stepdaughter and you felt entitled to be able to say what they should do with their money and that they should give their money that they worked for and earned to your daughter. The audacity. Am I the a-hole for refusing to give my 17 female cousin, 8 female, my heated blanket? So I have an 8-year-old cousin who we'll call Katie for the sake of the story. For my 16th birthday, my friend Jasper gave me a heated blanket because I mentioned how my room can get freezing whenever it wants. It's pretty much a red blanket that plugs in. You pick one of 4 settings and it auto shuts off after 3 hours, so it's not a fire hazard. Safe to say, I love this thing. I'm actually using it right now, lol. So 2 days ago, my aunt and uncle and Katie came over for dinner. I asked Katie if she wanted to play a game on our Switch. She excitedly said yes, so we went up to my room and set it up on my TV. Just my luck, my room was freezing cold, so I set up my heated blanket for Katie while my heater slowly heats up the room. When they were about to leave, Katie came running to me with the blanket, asking me if she could take it home. The thing is, they have 2 dogs who ruin stuff in 2 seconds, while she doesn't take the best care of her stuff either. Understandable since she's 8. I nicely took it from her and I said no in the nicest way possible. I told her it was a birthday gift that Jasper gave me. She looked disappointed but smiled. She's met Jasper and aside from her parents and I, he's got to be her favorite person and he absolutely adores her. She's told Jasper and I that we need to get together and get married so that she can see him more often. She ran over to her parents and got her stuff on, and my aunt and uncle asked me why I couldn't just give it to her. Oh, come on, what? I said again that it was a birthday gift from Jasper. They just said that I could have given it to her and Jasper or I could get another one. Are you out of your mind? Why should they do that? God, people can be so rude. I don't want to give it away since it was a birthday gift from my best friend and he had a hilariously hard time getting it. He paid for it, but he had to ask his mother to order it and tried his best to not mention that it was a gift for a girl, since you can probably tell how she'd respond. I stood my ground and I told them that I would not be giving it to them, and they just huffed and left. Later they texted me saying I was an a-hole. Oh my god. And I should have just given it to her. I was older and I should have been the bigger person, but the thing is, Katie had no problem with me saying no, so I have no idea what their problem was, but the way the a-hole was thrown around, it reminded me of this place. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Yeah, it sounds like the aunt and uncle are just nasty. Oh my god, that's infuriating. I don't even understand how they feel like they can say that. Like, oh, you know this belonging of yours? I feel like you should give it to our child. What do you mean you don't want to? Yeah, not the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for allowing only my twins at my wedding, but no other children? I'm getting married soon and I've decided that I don't want children at my wedding, except for my 7-year-old twins. They mean a lot to me and I want them to be a part of my big day. They'll be with the babysitter the entire time at the reception, so they won't be a bother to anyone. My siblings have young kids and they were really upset about my decision. They said it's unfair for me to allow my kids but not theirs. They accused me of being selfish and said I should either invite all the family children or none at all. They even threatened not to attend my wedding if I don't change my mind. I think they're being dramatic and I believe I have the right to choose who I want at my wedding. I love my nieces and nephews, but I don't want them to disrupt the atmosphere of the celebration. I also don't want to exclude my own kids because they're my children, and I want them to witness me marrying their father. Am I the a-hole for allowing only my twins at my wedding, but no other children? No, I don't think so. Yeah, like the top comment says, not the a-hole. Anyone with a brain can accept that the bride and groom's kids are special case. It's understandable to want a child-free wedding, but also, yeah, of course you want your own children to be there. Obviously, if it wasn't their children, it'd be different, but if it wasn't their kids, they wouldn't even be asking for it. Yeah, no, I feel like this is definitely understandable understandable. You don't want your own kids to not be there, but you also don't want there to be lots of kids there. Am I the a-hole for not giving my husband food if it was made with a blender that he was mad about me buying? So I bought myself a nice blender. I work part-time at home and I also watch the young kids that are too young for preschool. Due to me staying home, I cook a lot, which I enjoy, so it's not a big deal. Now the issue is that he was pissed at how much the blender was. It was $1.25. This annoyed me greatly since I use my fun money for it and it's a household tool even if he won't use it. And I thought we were over it, but I pulled it out again to make a smoothie and he made more comments about a waste of money and a stupid buy. I had the conversation with him about the whole situation again. He made even more comments next time I took it out and I'd had enough. Now every time I make something using a blender, I don't give him any. It came to a head today. I made a soup and I used the blender. I told him I used this stupid blender to make it, so he can't have any and needs to make his own food. This caused a huge argument and he thinks I'm a petty jerk, but I've told him so many times to not call my purchases a waste. Am I the a-hole for taking it too far? And this post made me really start thinking about my marriage. I'm asking for couples counseling and if things don't change, I'm done. Yeah, I don't feel like 125 is that bad for a blender, is it? And also, like you said, it was with your fun money, which means extra money, doesn't it? As in, like, it's not going to put you in a hard position financially if you buy this blender. So why do they feel like they even have a say in this? You can spend your fun money on whatever the hell you want. Yeah, definitely not the a-hole. And they said in a comment that every single time that they see it, they comment on it. That's so frustrating. Yeah, not the a-hole. The next one is called, am I the a-hole for leaving during an intervention that I never agreed to? This happened on Friday. I'm so beyond upset right now and I've gone no contact for the immediate future with my mum. My 36 male sister Jane, 34 female, have no relationship. She's my sister by blood only. I'll try to be as unbiased as possible here, but she did some pretty crappy things when our father died. Things like withholding information about his estate, attempting to sell his home and split the profits with his fiance against my knowledge, not actually being physically there when he died in hospice, etc. Afterwards, she would continuously gaslight me to the point that I went no contact back in 2018. My life has been so much better without her in it. My mum, Brenda, 60 female, is not a fan of this. She was divorced from my father, and even though I loved him so much, I have to admit that he wasn't the greatest parent in some aspects. We did live with him. My sister and I not having a great relationship is mostly in part his fault. Brenda doesn't like that her two only children have a dead relationship and is constantly trying to fix it. After being in therapy, I've started learning how to erect and enforce boundaries. I don't like it when my mum attempts to fix our relationship, and I call her out on it gently each time. For example, a few weeks ago, she mentioned how she wasn't going to name neither me nor Jane as the executor until we fix our crap. I calmly told her that I didn't think that was appropriate to say or do, and that I didn't like how she isn't taking into account my feelings and why I chose to go no contact with Jane. My wife and I flew in to go visit Brenda this past Friday. My wife and I recently had a son a year ago, so we wanted to visit his grandma. We walked in and we were met with half the family standing there, including Jane, who was sitting, claiming that they were doing an intervention on my relationship with Jane. I was speechless. I looked at my wife, who was just as flabbergasted as I was. I said, I'm not doing an intervention and this is enormously inappropriate. My mum went into this tirade of how I'm a grown adult and this behavior is childish. I need to make up with my sister so we can put all of this behind us. We immediately left and my mum followed us out while asking why I couldn't do the adult thing and just talk to my sister. Baby was crying. We got into the car and booked a hotel. I booked a new flight for tomorrow and I'm trying my best not to look upset for the baby. My wife says that she has nothing to do with this and would never sanction this if she knew. My wife's phone and mine have been blowing up non-stop, with the family accusing me of being a drama queen and hurting my mum's feelings. The only family member I didn't go no contact with is my stepdad, who sent me a simple apology text. With all of these text messages, I'm starting to doubt myself. My next therapy session isn't until next Friday and I'm not sure how I feel. Am I the a-hole for going no contact with my mum? Oh my god, no, definitely not. The top comment says, wow, no, not the a-hole. That was absolutely inappropriate and wildly asinine on Brenda's part. I understand that she wants her kids to get along, but the time for ensuring that they did was when you two were young, not when you're both grown-ass adults. The fact that Brenda did that when you had your new baby with you, essentially putting the baby in the middle of an extremely emotional and potentially volatile situation, says a lot about how little Brenda cares about the emotional well-being of others. I'll definitely send Brenda a letter or email explaining how that made you feel and outlining that you'll no longer be accepting contact from her unless she stops trying to fix things. If she replies with an argument, you let her know that she's now no longer welcome to contact you and you block her and you move on with your life. Yeah, wow, this is a very strong not the a-hole. There's another comment that says they ambushed you, and yeah, they 100% 100% did. Yeah, definitely not the a-hole, but it definitely is time to read something wholesome. I feel like that's enough Am I the a-hole for one day. I can't even believe the stuff we've read today. Someone once introduced Jeff Goldblum to me at a party by saying, "This is Chris Kelly," and he said, "My God, of course." I couldn't believe it. He knew who I was, and then he proceeded to say, "My God, of course," to every person that he was introduced to. I love Jeff Goldblum. Oh, that's so cute. My God, of course. Pinky and the Brain were based on two producers at Warner Brothers Animation, and I can't get over how they really just drew these guys as mice without changing anything else. Yeah, wow, that's unbelievable. I feel like we might have read this one before, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, how interesting. They're literally the same. I'll make sure to put a photo of Pinky and the Brain on the screen. Unbelievable. If you enjoyed the time that you wasted, then it's not wasted time. Yeah, 1,000,000%. And it's really hard to not feel bad about quote-unquote wasting time. But yeah, that's so important to remember. You enjoyed this, so it wasn't a waste of time. And once again, thank you for watching, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful time. And if you did and you want to see more Am I the A-hole, make sure you like and subscribe. And the comment of the day today goes to Daily Dull Memes. Neckbeard's ruining the fedora. This is why we can't have nice things. 'Tis a shame. Yeah, that's so true. Like, I've never really thought to myself, hey, I really want to wear a fedora. But it's a shame that if you do, you'll immediately be called a neckbeard. Like, come on, guys. This isn't okay. Wow, I'm still getting over what we read today. That was such a fun episode. And yeah, guys, got another adventure planned for tomorrow, so hopefully I'll see you then. And as always, make sure you look after yourself and make sure you have a beautiful, amazing rest of your day. And you know what I'm about to say because I say it every single day. Bye!